This is one of my favorite books. It's called How to Steal a Dog. It's by a very special author. Her name is Barbara O'Connor. Barbara O'Connor has written a lot of really good books. This is my favorite of hers. It's a beautiful little book that's been out for almost 20 years. Listen to the little girl as she tells you her story. It goes like this. The day I decided to steal a dog was the same day my best friend Luann Godfrey found out I lived in a car. I told Mama she'd find out sooner or later, seeing as how she's so nosy and all. But Mama just rolled her eyes and said, "You just get on up there to the bus stop, Georgina, and quit your whining." And that's what I did. Stood up there at the bus stop pretending like I still lived in apartment 3B. I pretended like I didn't have mustard on my shirt from the day before. And I pretended like I hadn't washed my hair in the bathroom of the Texaco gas station that very morning. And I also pretended that my daddy hadn't just waltzed off and left us with nothing but 3 rolls of quarters and a mayonnaise jar full of wadded up dollar bills. I guess I'm pretty good at pretending. My brother Toby, though, he's not so good at pretending. When Mama told him to get on up to the bus stop and quit his whining, he cried and carried on like the baby that he is. Luann asked me when we were standing at the bus stop, she said, "What's wrong with Toby?" I said, he has an earache. I was trying hard to look like my life was just as normal as could be instead of all crazy like it really was. But when I saw Luann's eyes narrow and her lips squeezed together, I knew her nosiness was about to irritate me. Sure enough, she said, "Well, then how come your mama's making him go to school?" And she kept looking at me with that squiddy-eyed look of hers. I didn't let on I was irritated. I just shrugged and hoped she would just shut up about Toby. She did. Then she went and turned her nosy self loose on me. She said, "No offense, Georgina, but you're starting to look kind of unkempt." Unkempt? That was her mama talking if I ever heard it. Luann would never say that word unkempt if she hadn't heard her mama say it first. What was I supposed to say to that anyways? Was I supposed to say, "Well, for your information, Luann Godfrey, it's kind of hard to keep your clothes looking neat when nice when you've been sleeping in the backseat of a Chevrolet for a week"? Or maybe I was supposed to say, "Yeah, I know it, Luann, but you know, my hairbrush got tossed out in that pile of stuff Mr. Dieter left on the sidewalk when he kicked us out of our apartment." And she would say, "Why do you do that?" And I would say, "'Cause 3 rolls of quarters and a mayonnaise jar full of wadded up dollar bills doesn't pay the rent, Luann." I didn't say anything. I acted like I hadn't heard that word, unkempt. I just climbed on the bus and sat in the 6th seat on the left side with Luann like I always did. I knew Luann wouldn't give up, though. I knew she'd keep on until she found out the truth. That morning I said to Mama, "What if she wants to come over? Or what if she looks in the window or something and finds out that we don't live there anymore?" Mama just flapped her hand at me and closed her eyes to let me know how tired she was from working 2 jobs. So every day I imagined Luann peeking in the kitchen window of apartment 3B. And when she did, she wouldn't see me and Toby and Mom and Daddy eating our dinner and being happy. She'd see some other family, some happy family that wasn't even broken up like mine. Then one day, when we got off the school bus, Luann went and did the nosiest thing I could imagine. She followed me. I was trying to catch up with Toby because he had grabbed the car keys and ran out ahead of me. I didn't even notice her sneaking along behind me. And she followed me all the way past apartment 3B, across the street, clear on around the back of the drugstore where our car was parked with laundry hanging out the windows and Toby sitting on a milk crate waiting for me. If there was a time when I wished the earth would open up and swallow me whole, it was when I turned around and I saw Luann looking at me and Toby and that car and all. I could see her thoughts just as plain as day right there on her face. I wanted to wave my hand and make that dented up car disappear off the face of the earth. But more than anything, I wanted my daddy to come on home and change everything back to the way it was before. I put a smile on my face and said, "Oh, it's just temporary." And Luann said, "Oh?" I said, "Yeah, when Mama gets paid, we're moving into a new apartment." "Oh?" And then we both just stood there looking at our feet. And I could feel the distance between us grow and grow until it seemed like Luann Godfrey, who had been my best friend forever, was standing clear on the other side of the universe from me. And finally she said, "I better go." She didn't. She just stood there. I squeezed my eyes shut and told myself not to look pitiful, and for heaven's sakes, don't cry. And then, of course, Toby had to go and make everything worse by saying, "Mama left a note that she's working late, so we're supposed to eat the macaroni that's in the cooler." Luann arched her eyebrows up, and then she said, "I haven't seen your daddy in a long time." That did it. I couldn't stop the tears from spilling out of my squeezed up eyes. I sat down right there in the drugstore parking lot and told Luann everything. And then I felt her arm around me and I heard her saying something, but I was too lost in my misery to do anything but cry. When it was all cried out, I stood up. I brushed the dirt off the seat of my pants, pushed the hair out of my eyes and said, "Look, promise me you won't tell." "I promise." No, I mean, not even your mama." "Okay." Then I crooked my pinky finger in the air and I waited for her to give me the pinky promise, but she hesitated. So I stamped my foot and I jabbed my pinky at her, and finally she crooked her pinky around mine and we shook, and she said, "I better go." And I watched her hurry across the parking lot. And she glanced back at me before disappearing around the corner of the drugstore. Toby, from his seat in the milk crate, said, "I hate that macaroni." It was just like him to not even give me one little minute to wallow in my misery. I stomped around to the back of the car, kicked that cooler, sending it toppling over on its side. Ice and water and plastic containers spilled out in the parking lot. "Me too," I said. "I hate that macaroni." And I climbed into the back seat of the car. I waited for Mama to come back. It was way past dark when I heard Mama's shoes click-clacking on the asphalt as she made her way toward the car. I sat up and looked out the window. Even in the glim glow of the streetlights, I could see her tired, sad look. Part of me wanted to stay put and just go back to sleep and leave her be, but another part of me wanted to get out and have my say, which is what I did. Mama jumped when I opened the car door. "What in the world are you doing awake, Georgina?" "I hate this. I don't want to do it anymore." Pushed the car door shut softly so Toby wouldn't wake up. I turned back to Mama and said, "Mama, you gotta do something. You gotta find us a place to live. A real place, not a car." Mama reached out like she was going to touch me, so I jerked away. She dropped her hand to her side like it was heavy as cement, and she let out a whoosh of breath that blew her hair up off her forehead. She said, "I'm trying." "Well, how are you trying?" She tossed her purse through the car window into the front seat. "I just am, okay, Georgina?" "Yeah, but how? Look, I'm working 2 jobs. What else do you want me to do?" "Find us a place to live." I stomped away from her and whirled back around. "This is all your fault." She stormed over and grabbed me by the shoulders. It takes money to get a place. She gave me a little shake when she said the word money. I'm trying to save up, okay? And she let go of me and leaned against the car. I said, how much money do we need? She looked up at the sky as if the answer was written in the clouds up there. And she shook her head real slow and said, I don't know, Georgina. A lot, okay? Well, like, how much? More than we got. We both just stood there in the dark and listened to the crickets from the vacant lot next door. Mama draped her arm around my shoulder, and I laid my head against her. I wanted to be a baby again. A baby that just cries and cries and then gets taken care of. And finally, I asked her the same question I'd asked her about 1,000,000 times already. Why did Daddy leave? I felt her whole body go limp. I wish I knew. She brushed my hair out of my eyes. He just got tired of it all, I guess. Tired of what? The silence between us felt big and dark like a wall. Then I asked her the question that had been burning a hole in my heart. Tired of me? Mama took my chin in her hand and looked at me hard. This is not your fault, okay? She peered inside the car at Toby, all curled up in a ball in the back seat. Okay, we gotta go. Where? I don't know, just somewhere else. We've been here 2 nights now. The cops are liable to run us off if we don't leave. She shot me a look when she saw the overturned cooler. So I helped her gather the things up before I climbed back in the car. And as we drove out of the parking lot, I slouched down and stared glumly out the window. The empty shops we passed made Darby, North Carolina, seem like a ghost town, all locked up and dark. Mama pulled the car into the alley beside Bill's Auto Parts, and she shut the engine off. We got swallowed up in quiet. I draped a beach towel over the clothesline that Mama had strung along the middle of the car to make me a bedroom. I could just picture Luann snuggled in her pink and white quilt with her stuffed animals all lined up along the wall beside her and her gymnastics ribbons taped on the headboard, and I sure felt sorry for myself. But I just curled up in the seat, turning every which way, trying to get comfortable. Finally, I settled on my back, my feet propped up against the car door, stared out at the starry sky. And then I saw it. A sign tacked up on the telephone pole right outside the car window. A faded old sign that said, reward, $500. Under that was a picture of a bug-eyed little dog with its tongue hanging out. And under that it said, have you seen me? My name is Mitzi. $500? Who in the world would pay $500 for that little dog? Mama, I whispered through my bench towel wall. Mama rustled in the front seat. Mama, would $500 be enough money to get us a place to live? Well, I suppose so, Georgina. I'll just go back to sleep now. You got school tomorrow. I looked up at Mitzi. My mind started churning. What if I could find that dog? I could get that money, and we could get a real place to live instead of this stinking old car. But that dog could be anywhere. I wouldn't even know where to look. Besides, that sign was old. Somebody had probably found Mitzi and got that $500 too. Out that window, at that sign, thinking about Mitzi, wondering if there were other dogs out there. And there are other folks out there that would pay money for those lost dogs. And that's when I got a thought that made me sit up so fast. Toby mumbled in his sleep, and Mama said, shh. So I folded my legs up, and I lay back down in my beach towel bedroom. The damp car seats smell like greasy French fries and bug spray. I closed my eyes and I smiled to myself. I had a plan. I was going to steal me a dog. The book is called How to Steal a Dog. It's by Barbara O'Connor. You fall in love with this little girl, Georgina. She's got a problem. She's living in a car because she's homeless. And her other problem is she's thinking about stealing a dog, and we know that stealing a dog is wrong. I wonder what she's going to do. You have to read the book to find out what happens. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe. You just might find a very special book that'll change your whole life. Thank you. Bye-bye.